Hi there, my name is Koen Verstrepen. I'm one of the founders of Froomle and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Value from AI. And today I have as a guest Philippe Van Impe, who is one of the central figures in the Brussels AI community. Welcome Philippe, thanks for being here. Tell me, why build an AI community?
Yeah, well, we were confronted with this new idea of AI, and 5 years ago it was called data science, and we were looking for how it was implemented, how you had to implement data science, and how companies were using it. And in order to do that, we created a meetup group called the Data Science Meetup Group. And the aim of that meetup group was not essentially to share technical knowledge about AI, but it was more about explaining how it was used and how it could be used for business. Where is the value of using it?
Yes.
And to do that, we had to, like you do, have a lot of speakers who come and explain what they are doing it, why they are doing it, and where the value lies. And we were doing that in meetups, so once a month, organizing meetups, and it caught on quite quickly. Very soon, the first meetup was 26 people, then 100, and then towards the end of the year, we were with 250 people.
Impressive.
It was scary as well, because when you suddenly become responsible for 250 people who have to walk up the stairs of Ola and maybe fall down or something. So we were a bit stressed, and the community said, "Oh, after a while, why don't you organize an event during the day?" Because, okay, we come here once a month at night, but we should organize an event during the day. And then we started organizing an event, a summit, which is a yearly event, and we did the first one at AXA. And then AXA saw that there were so many interesting people, and that they gave us a space to work from. So we had office space and 12 training rooms. And we said, oh, if we want to share knowledge, we now have the training rooms. Let's invite again the speakers, but instead of doing a 10-minute or 20-minute pitch, let's give them a chance to spread their knowledge in a half a day or a full day. So we were organizing these sessions a full day, and then we started with a longer track of which was then the data science bootcamp, which took 6 months, and so that's how we all build it up slowly.
Okay. Does that mean that actually the audience or the people in the community are not necessarily technical people, but
Correct.
also business people who think they can use AI and data science in their digital products, let's say?
Yes, it's not only technical people. A lot of them are, but there are also a lot of managers from bigger corporations who wants to understand how they are going to use AI, or how to choose the right AI project for the coming year.
Okay.
And all these people have one thing in common: they all want to learn, basically for themselves. It's a grassroots community. They are not sent by their boss to the event. They go to the event to learn something and to be stronger when they present something. Yes. So the motivation is very high. And you have different types. You have very technical people and managers. And in the way we set up our meetups, we always try to have an introductory topic, and then a more detailed topic which goes more in the technology, and then a more startup type of topic. So there's always, in the 3 presentations each time, there is always something interesting for a different profile.
Okay, interesting. Then about the summit, what is the goal there? Is it to give the community more visibility, to reach an even broader audience, or how should I see this?
Well, the summit is basically that yearly gathering. People need to network. They need to change job as well, because that's the place where a lot of contracts are signed, or at least initiated. And it's just a place where the speakers can shine. We invite them on stage, and they can talk about what they have done. In order to be on stage, you just have to have done a project. So we don't invite American projects or Chinese projects. We prefer to have local projects. And each year, people are impressed by the quality of those projects. We should not be ashamed of what we can do in Belgium. Our capacity to implement AI-related projects is very high, but we just don't brag about it. We just, the classical Belgian way. We do it and we think it's normal. No, it's exceptionally good, the result of what is happening.
Okay, because it's interesting that you say that, because I think a lot of people, they have the feeling that in moving forward with implementing AI, using it in different business contexts, that we are rather lagging behind compared to, let's say, the Netherlands or America, United States.
Yeah.
But am I hearing correctly that you say, well, that's not necessarily true?
Correct. Yes, we don't lag behind. The only place where we lag behind is in the way we express our successes. Yeah,
advertising.
And we advertising our successes, and we all know that about the Dutch, that they are very good at that, and we certainly know that the Americans are very good talking about their successes. Now we take most of the AI project also from on a very technical and academic point of view. We have a very strong base of well-educated experts in AI that came through the academic world. Our schools in Ghent, in Brussels, in Louvain-la-Neuve are exceptionally good in producing those experts those quantitative experts who understand how an algorithm would work or how they could do that. And what we do with the community is that we show these experts how the business is implementing it. And it's really that role that we are playing as community is that role where the business meets experts, and we just it's that springboard or that bridge that we are making. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because according to you, what is what should have the emphasis? Applying it, or rather the technical part of the artificial intelligence?
Well, the technical part is already is done at university in the academic world. I strongly believe that the implementation of it is important. If there is money to be spent, it should be spent in teaching people how to implement it, how to use it, and allow them more time to fail as well, instead of building a new supercomputer or developing a new algorithm, because that work is already done. And we don't have the power that Amazon has or all these big corporations have to develop the new algorithms and the new supercomputers. But we are practical. Everybody knows that Belgian people are very practical, and they have this approach on how to implement things. And you see that in the implementation of the AI-related project. These projects are mainly done in a very practical way. So I do believe that implementation is important.
Okay, and does that mean that in your vision, people in Belgium should focus on implementing software from abroad? Or is there somewhere in your vision also room for, let's say, Belgian startups developing their own software to be used by larger corporates?
Yeah, you have to know that within the AI world, there is a lot. The basics are there. So these are the open source software tools like R, Python, Spark, and all the other elements are there. What we need from the startups is to bundle these pieces of software and make them work in a practical approach with a business purpose. So that's where they can focus on how to help telcos to do a better sales, or how to help pharmaceuticals to choose. That's what and again, the startups are not going to develop new algorithms, or that's not where they make the difference. They will make the difference in the way they practically approach a problem and tune that problem and tune their solution towards a certain business or industry.
So you have three layers actually. You have really the basics, which you say, well, they are there, and it's don't waste too much effort on there. Then you have typically a startup who takes all the basics together and makes a nice product for a very specific purpose with that. And then you have the corporates using or integrating these special purpose products into their big company and into their workflows. That's how.
Yeah, and we see now the corporates coming more and more to going towards the community. They are coming to our events. They are supporting our activities financially so that we can survive. And their ambition is to be able to express their need. It's a very simple ambition. They just say, we have a problem in that area. If there is somebody who has a solution for that, please come step forward, and we will work together. And they are prepared to pre-finance that little project or to pre-finance three, four, 5 different projects towards a common goal. But it's a faster way to do some innovation for big corporates is to do it in joint effort with startups and communities.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, bigger companies have an important role to play in this community, being, first of all, sponsoring it, because if they do so, they have the opportunity, and it's not only an opportunity, it's a win-win situation, because for them, they can express to this community their business needs and the solutions that they are looking for. So for them, it's a way to find those solutions. For the community, it's a way to, let's say, aim their gun, to know what are the real problems in the world that need to be solved. And then you're saying, well, and if these corporates work together with this community, they are able to innovate much faster than they would be on their own. Is that correct?
Correct. Well, innovation can happen in different ways, but if it's an innovation to solve a practical business problem, I think that's the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. I've seen a pharmaceutical company organizing a hackathon in order to find one specific solution, which was to have a virtual agenda assistant, and they put on the table a price of 25,000 euros to say, the one who comes with the best solution gets 25,000 euros. The interesting part there was that those 25,000 euros was the money that the startup would need for their first month of preparing that solution. So basically, that company did not lose any money, because the price they gave was for a piece of software that a part of the solution that they were receiving. So that was, for me, a very interesting procurement step in order to find a solution that could be implemented very quickly.
If a corporate would like to do a hackathon and advertise it through the community you're part of, would it need to adhere to certain criteria? For example, have a decent price for the winner, because otherwise it might be just easy for them to steal the results of the bright minds in the community.
Well, there are different ways to attract those bright minds. If you come up with a data set that has not been seen before, then you would attract those people, because if you release a data set on production data, maybe there will be. We've done one like that, and then we had 100 people because they wanted to see how does it look like that production data. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you do it when it starts to smell a bit too much like a procurement cycle, then you have to put your money on the table. Like we do each year a Data for Good event, a hackathon. Last year we did one around AIDS, and the year before it was around dengue. If it's for a good cause, and even then, the bigger company like a pharma company, can sponsor, but as long as it's for a good cause, there's no need for a big prize.
Yes.
If the person working on it feels that they are contributing to make this world a better place, then it's fine.
why do you think that for a big corporate it is easier to move faster, for example, working together with a startup than doing that internally? What is it that makes this startup going faster? How is that possible?
The startup does not know the rules of the game. I had one of my friends works in a big telco in Belgium, and he always says, if we ask this to our engineers, they will provide a solution that is acceptable to the big telco. Whereas the startup does not know what's acceptable. So they just go ahead, and that's where you find real innovation. But basically, you need a bit of the both. You need an internal team that can validate if that solution can be implemented, because there is a big step from that has to be taken from the initial solution proposed by the startup and the industrialization of the solution within the corporate. Yeah, that's a huge step that needs to be taken. But if it's just on innovation part, it's important to have that startup. Yeah.
If you put yourself in the position of a corporate, let's say a telco, it's a very nice example of a big corporate, and you have to choose between, you want to use AI for something, for having smart offers to individuals, or for optimizing some back-end process, and you have the option you have smart people in your organization to build it yourself or to buy it somewhere else. What would you do, or what would be the parameters that you would use to make your decision?
I would definitely start with making it possible to have a choice. So I would definitely put out this call to say, we are looking for bright solution in that area, so that you could at least choose between 3-4 solutions. Yes. And then I would have the internal team validating one of the 4 or 2 of the 4 of those solutions, and making sure that they agree with the ideas, so that they can afterwards bring it inside the company.
Yes. Well, if you're talking about that topic, so let's say there's a startup, there's a corporate, and then the corporate follows your advice, does it like that. But then, of course, there are 2 kinds of way in which they can assess the external solution. Or the external solution, they are really protective of what they have built, and they say, okay, we connect in this way, we make these guarantees. That's one option. The other option is that you require that the external solution provider opens the hood, is transparent of what is running inside their solution. Do you think that is required or not?
I think today companies like to look inside the hood. They like to see that it's sound. If you're working with algorithms, they want to understand that the algorithm has been constructed in a way that at least some of the logic of the algorithm can be traced to explain how the system made that decision. So looking inside the hood is very important, and having the feeling that when they bring it in, they can maintain it themselves is also very important. Okay. So if it's a black box, it's good for challenging ideas, the black box. But if it's for a long-term a piece of software that will be essential for the company, I think they will look inside the hood and make sure that they understand what's happening.
I understand that. But then if you look at it from the other side, from the perspective of the startup, they're like opening their secrets, let's say, or their IP to this corporate. What is preventing the corporate from copying it and saying, oh, well, nice innovation. Well, now that I know how it works, I think we can also build that. How does, in this case, because I see the need for that, how do you help the startup to protect its property, let's say?
Yeah. Well, I do believe that there are some contracts that can be written to protect IP. Okay. That's definitely the case. And I also do believe that we are very lucky in Belgium that we work with very mature corporates who will not take the chance of breaching an agreement like that.
Okay.
Yeah. If you would do business in another country or another continent, that might be more difficult or more dangerous.
Yes.
But if you work with the local corporates and the big corporates in Belgium, they would. I don't even think that there is the slightest danger of having an IP breach somewhere.
Okay. So actually, what you're saying is, as a startup, don't be too afraid to open up, because that's really what your potential customers require, what they need to be successful, and you can rest assured that to protect your IP, you can have legal agreements, and that will definitely, in a country like Belgium, and let's say Europe as a broader whole, will definitely be a sufficient protection of your...
Correct. And the added value of the startup is being faster and understanding how it has to be implemented and doing it, and not necessarily how to build the code, unfortunately. So the real value of the startup is being able to deliver, and if they are happy and if they feel confident that the code that they have is their own, they shouldn't be afraid of opening it.
Okay, and are you then not working towards startups that are all service-oriented, or am I seeing that? So if you follow that approach, are you not ending up, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but isn't then the logical consequence that all these startups we are now talking about will be service-oriented startups, speeding up the innovation of the corporates, rather than product-oriented startups that have the potential to be, let's say, unicorn companies like Colibra, for example?
Yeah. I mean, service. I mean, the whole thing is it having a service-related startup is not bad.
No, absolutely not.
The only problem with having a service-related startup is that the valuation from the VCs is bad for a service-related business, and they prefer evaluate a product-related business. Mm-hmm. So naturally, there will be the tendency to go towards packaging a product. Mm-hmm. But now you see VC made so many companies switch from a service-related business to a product-related business, and not having enough funds to do, because that takes 2-3 years to do that, that pivot to do that. Yes. Now you see VC saying, no, service-related business is also good. Okay. So there is a switch. 5 years ago, it had to be product. Today, it's good to have a product. It's better to have a product, but service-related business is not that bad either.
Okay. If you are talking about opening or being open about your software to your customers, then you're only one step removed from open sourcing your software. And there are a few examples of companies that succeeded in having very successful business based on open source software. For example, Red Hat on Linux, Elastic on Elasticsearch. There are also some other examples, but not that many. What is your view on open source and building businesses around open source?
Okay, well, on the side on concerning AI, and certainly in the research phase, you'll probably end up with a tool set that is based on open source already. Yes. So that's not necessarily proprietary code. This is already open source tool. So moving one step further and saying this combination is now also open source, and if you want to add some more elements, please community add more elements, because that would be a good move. In Belgium, we do have some good look at Odoo, for example, which is the open ERP. It was called open ERP before. They now build an Imperium based on open source accounting software and open source time management software. So there is some experience in that in Belgium, and I think it could be a very good way to reduce the maintenance costs for a platform is to open source it. The added value will be in the art of combining it, yeah, and for that added value, you can ask a recurring fee, and that OpEx is depending on some companies prefer to have OpEx, other companies prefer to have CapEx, but that recurring fee is certainly very much appreciated by the VCs. Okay. Recurring fee is always better than a one-off maintenance.
So you are absolutely a believer in building businesses around open source. You think it can be a good...
I definitely believe that in the innovation part of it, it's important to build that to do the sketch of the future solution in using open source software. Okay. Yeah. We all know that it's a bit more complex to industrialize, to put it in a production when you work too much with open source. And there's a big argument of the big software players in that area saying, yeah, but when you want to put it into production, you better use our software platform. And some projects have proven that wrong, and other projects have proven that. And when you look at the number of successful AI projects, you see that you have from both elements.
Okay, the community the AI community in Brussels is now hosted in DigitYser, I believe.
Yeah.
So it started as a meetup. There is also the Data Innovation Summit, but I believe it is now much more than that, than just the meetups. Well, there's also education part there.
Yeah, well, the meetups have spread. So initially we were only doing the meetups in Brussels. Now we are doing meetup in Leuven, which Chris is doing a very successful meetup.
He was guest of this show before.
He's doing a very good meetup here in Leuven. There is a meetup in Ghent. There is a meetup in Antwerp, in Liège, in Louvain-la-Neuve. So the meetups have spread in the different areas, and that means that now we moved it on national level, yeah. And we the community, which is very loosely coupled people with the same interest, are now all grouped into what is now called the AI for Belgium initiative, which has the intention to inform people on how to use AI, basically, what you are doing with the different regions.
Yes.
And for the Brussels region, we take the role of spreading the knowledge and organizing training. So we organize each year the Data Science Bootcamp. This is a 6 months long education program that teaches people who come from university to use what they have learned into real business, to solve real business issues. So you have people from the business coming to ask to show what they have done, and these people who come from university just rebuild a solution, and they build a recommendation engine, or they do some risk analysis and things like that, just to learn what the business is looking for, what the business is requiring. And then that's also used as a springboard towards those bigger corporations, or as a springboard towards starting their own startup.
Okay, so now it is the AI community. We were talking about the AI community, which actually had its seat in what was then called the data science community. What you see, or what I see, is that actually, and in the past, people were talking about predictive analytics, and of course, to do all of that, you need big data, and that has been an important word some time ago. How I approach this is it's all about actually the same thing. It's about you have data, you have very smart software, being algorithms that learn, that implement a process that learns from this data and keeps learning. So it's self-learning. And yeah, depending on the time where you're in, this has another name, and that has reasons, because some companies promote certain names and it works and it sticks. And I'm personally very practical about it. It's just, okay, if people now use this name to address these and these and these topics, well, let's just go with the flow. It doesn't, who am I to try to change that, let's say? Do you think that's an acceptable view, or is your view different?
I think the name does not change much. You have, I mean, artificial intelligence has been there for 30 years now.
Yes.
It has had a huge acceleration now because of open source, because of the availability of new algorithms, the processing power of the computers, and there has been a very big acceleration now that was technology driven. You know, that is obvious the case. We still need to be able to implement it, and I would really would like to focus on that, to teach people how to use it, and in the most practical way. That for me is the most important part.
But would you say that if somebody's saying I'm doing AI, and now somebody else is saying, well, my job is doing data science, that those are profoundly different, or that they can, depending on who's talking, can be exactly the same, and it doesn't matter. It is not a problem. It's just like that.
Yeah. Well, the rule is simple. If it's written in PowerPoint, then it's probably AI, and if it's written in Python, then it's machine learning.
Okay. Well, I think that's a very practical rule of thumb. So I think we already talked about it, to innovate in this area, to make progress, to reap the fruits of what is possible. Startups and entrepreneurship are an important aspect of the ecosystem. What is, according to you, a way to promote this, to multiply what we have today with a factor 2, maybe 10, to really put oil on the fire?
Well, we have to make it possible for people leaving school to be able to start their own startup. There is a big stress for people leaving school today because they need to, their parents said, okay, you have your master now. This is where the buck stops. You no more money, and they are basically forced to go to Colruyt or so on and do some work to get some money to pay to continue to pay or to start paying their flat and things like that, or to join a bigger organization. What I would really like to see is an initiative from the government saying, okay, let's organize a 1-year trial period for you. Let us pre-finance that with some money, enough to pay your accommodation and your cigarettes, and so that you can start develop your ideas or try to find a good area. So that's definitely something that will accelerate the movement into new startups, and it will also validate for the parents that it's okay to do that. It's okay to start your own company because the government is financing it. Whereas if I would go to, my kids would go and say, I'll do my startup. I would first ask, what kind of startup? Who are your customers? Where are you going to make money? Who is going to pay for this? If the government says, no, we just cover the basic cost here, and you have a place to work, and there is a community to support you, then it will be okay to do it. And you limit yourself to a year and a half, maximum 2 years, a bit like Started at KBC is doing. I mean, you go into an environment like Started at KBC with some coaches and so on, and on top of that, you get 500 euros for your cot, for your little apartment, and that will work.
Okay, cool. To end, Philippe, to wrap it up, if people want to learn more about the world of AI, applying it, because I hear that's one of your passions, applying the AI, where, according to you, can they go? Of course, they can go to DigitYser, that's for sure. But are there other blogs or people, influencers that you follow, or books to read where you can get inspiration, learn more about
Well, basically, they can go to any co-working space in Belgium today. There will be some technical people there who can assist them. Some co-working spaces are more focused on AI. Yeah? We have the Weekend in Antwerp. We have DigitYser in Brussels. There is in Wallonia. There's also an initiative like that. There are the meetups. I would strongly advise to register on meetup.com, say what your passion is, and automatically Meetup will suggest events. Only tonight there is one in Ghent, and go to these meetings. By going to that meeting, you will meet people with the same kind of interest, and it's them who are going to say, do that MOOC from Andrew Eng, or do that exercise, or join that hackathon in Utrecht because that's the craziest hackathon this summer, or go to that offsite training in Valencia because that's a very focused on machine learning, or meet that professor in Ghent because he knows everything about it, or You register on that on meetup.com. You meet real people, and it's the real people who are going to advise you. Don't believe everything that you see in the virtual world. Try to meet the real people.
Okay, I think that's a really nice advice to end with. Don't just read don't just read and believe everything you find on Google. Meet up with people and learn from real people.
And go to Data Science Leuven, go to Data Science Ghent, and that's where you have to go.
All right, and go to the Data Innovation Summit.
That will be perfect, yes. On the 26th of June, I will be so happy to see everybody there.
All right, at least I will be there, I guess. Thanks a lot, Philippe, for being
pleasure.
here and for sharing your ideas. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more, we have more videos, links to videos in the comments. See you later.